Hey everyone, this is David Brown with the migration update for April 26th, 2022 from the Braddock Bay Hawk Watch. Well, I didn't take any scenery photos today, but I did take a photo of the totals board just to document yesterday's huge count. But the weather today, there was actually some sunshine in the morning with light to moderate westerly winds, but eventually it became overcast and the winds became stronger and shifted northwest. So not the most favorable conditions, but the morning was decent conditions. We had a bit of a flight, but pretty slow in the afternoon. In the morning, there were some flocks of rusty blackbirds migrating for more than 30 total. Here we have a juvenile red-tailed hawk, and it just looks a little lanky because it's flapping and looks a little stretched out. This brown thrasher was singing in the morning, and remember, brown thrashers mimic other bird calls and songs, and they repeat each song or call 2 times total. We had some small groups of broad-winged hawks migrating in the morning, mostly at high altitude, and we had a total of 133 for the day. This adult peregrine falcon gave us a nice look as it migrated overhead. We had a pretty good number of bald eagles migrating today. We had a total of 23, which was really respectable given the overall unfavorable conditions. This juvenile peregrine falcon gave us an even better look than the adult did. I first spotted this out over the east spit, and then it dropped down towards the marsh and we lost it behind the trees. Then we saw it next to the pavilion, only inches off of the grass, coming straight at us. And it came towards us, and then when it got maybe 100 feet away, it banked up in the air pretty high and then came right by in front of us. So that was pretty spectacular and one of the highlights of the day for sure. And somehow I managed to follow it with my camera and get some sharp shots, even though it is the fastest animal on the planet. So I was very happy to get this photo. And here we have another look at the same bird all stretched out. Here we have a sharp-shinned hawk migrating overhead, and we had a total of 27 Sharpies today. Here we have a bald eagle that's not quite a full adult yet, but pretty close. They always say these have a little white where they should be brown, and a little brown where they should be white, but by next year it should be in completely adult plumage. Here we have an adult red-tailed hawk in a soar, so we can see the dark patagial bars, although they're rather faint on this bird. The belly band, and it's an adult, so it has a dark trailing edge to the wing and a red tail. Here we have a juvenile bald eagle carrying a fish, or at least half of a fish. Here we have a Coast Guard C-130, and I put this photo in because I knew my dad would appreciate it. Here we have the continuing light morph rough-legged hawk that's been hanging out in the marsh since the beginning of the season. So, we didn't see it yesterday, I think it was, and I thought maybe it had finally moved on the favorable winds, but it's still around. Here we have a nice purple martin, and someone asked me the other day how I knew a bird was a purple martin, and I told them because it's the only bird we have that's purple. Here we have an immature bald eagle that's coming up on 2 years old, so we see the white underside. We also see it has 2 ages of feathers in the wings, so these longer ones that are more faded are the retained juvenile feathers that it would have grown originally in the nest. And then the shorter feathers in between, like these darker ones here, they're ones that would have been replaced last summer. So we can see the longer juvenile feathers here, and then the shorter, darker ones in between have been replaced. Here we have another bald eagle, and to me this looks like a juvenile, so born last summer, although it is rather faded underneath, and it's got I'd say more white than we normally see in this whole region. But we can see an even trailing edge to the wing, although it is starting to replace some of these inner primary feathers, starting to molt. Here we have another adult red-tailed hawk showing the same field marks, so patagial bars, belly band, dark trailing edge, and red tail. Here we have another immature bald eagle, and these are usually called 4th-year types. They're the ones where the head looks sort of like an osprey head because it's a mix of brown and white. Even trailing edge to the wing because all of the juvenile feathers have been replaced. So next year, this bird should look pretty adult-like, if not completely adult-like. And for comparison, here we have an actual osprey. And the real highlight of the day came towards the end. At 4:30 p.m., I noticed these two ibis flying by. And ibis are pretty rare in this region. Seems like last year we had some hanging around. We had a white-faced ibis at the East Spit that then disappeared and a glossy ibis showed up. So maybe we're starting to get a little more used to them, but it's still an exciting bird to get. And I'm no expert on ibis, but this top one is clearly a white-faced ibis, which we can tell from the facial pattern here. The bottom bird I wasn't sure about. It could either be an immature white-faced or it could be a glossy ibis. I'm not sure. I'm going to defer to people with more experience. But the one thing I did notice is this one seemed larger. And I don't think it's just a trick of being closer. I think it was actually larger. And it looks like the legs are a little longer. And also the bill is quite long. And I'm not sure if that has to do with male versus female, or if it's also something to do with one species versus another. But the way I reported this, I reported the top one as a white-faced ibis and this bottom one as a white-faced / glossy ibis, meaning it's one of the two species, but I'm not sure. But again, we'll see if the photos are good enough for people who know more than I do about such things to definitively identify it to species. But in any case, pretty rare bird to get in this area, and especially nice to get white-faced ibis for the Hawkwatch list. And if we take a look at eBird, today there were 62 species. So not a ton of songbird activity today. That's why it's a little lower than some other days, but overall decent given the conditions. And if we look at hawk count for the migrant raptor totals, today we had 89 turkey vultures, 1 osprey, 23 bald eagles, 4 northern harriers, 27 sharp-shinned hawks, 2 Cooper's hawks, 133 broadwings, 26 red tails, 1 golden eagle, which was a very distant immature, so too far for photos, and 2 peregrine falcons for a total of 308 migrants today. The new species for the season were Sora, which I heard calling from the marsh, and white-faced ibis. And we'll see if that other ibis turns out to be a glossy. That would, of course, also be another new species. Taking a look at the forecast for tomorrow, it's looking windy. Cloudy skies will become partly cloudy in the afternoon. High only 41 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds west-northwest at 20 to 30 miles per hour with higher gusts possible. So this sounds like a cold, windy day, and I don't think we'll see very much. So probably not the best day to visit the Hawkwatch, and I might even be hiding in my car all day. For Thursday, it's looking mainly sunny with a high in the upper 40s, winds northwest at 15 to 25 miles per hour. So again, northwest winds and somewhat cold. Actually kind of similar to today in some ways. But those winds are probably a bit on the stronger end than we would like. So I would expect not too much to be migrating on Thursday. Although sunny skies will help build some thermals. But if there's not many clouds, it'll also make it difficult to spot the birds. So overall, don't have high expectations for Thursday. For Friday, it's looking sunny with a high around 50, winds northwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. So this is slightly better. The winds are decent, but not overly strong. Sunny skies might get the birds up on the thermals. So yeah, Friday could be a better day. I wouldn't expect a huge migration, but it's looking more comfortable at least. Not as cold, not as windy. So slightly better, but not great. All right, that's it for today. If you liked this video, please hit the like button and be sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you don't miss any of these daily updates from the Braddock Bay Hawk Watch. This is David Brown. Thanks for watching.